expect to see too much here. But a welcome map nonetheless. Thatcher going to be the first ban. Hibana the second. I need to get that as a voice clip, and then I can just press a button. Gio, what do you reckon?
What, Thatcher ban first, Hibana ban second?
Yeah.
I think Thatcher ban first could definitely make a solid voice clip. But I think Hibana, she gets her time to shine sometimes. Wamai's been banned a lot today.
Yeah, again, like these bans aren't really world sort of changing on this map, are they? Like, this is very expected.
Yeah, I mean, Wamai, especially when you think of wanting to break through, I don't know, a pixel setup or something like that. You want to be denying as much as you can as far as projectiles are concerned. Hibana ban I find really interesting as well, because for the attackers, it makes it significantly harder to break into something like, even from Red Hatch, you know, trying to open up the wall below, or on that top floor, opening up any of the walls from Piano, if that's going to be the freezer wall. If you want to maybe send a pellet over to where the Maestro spot is in Cocktail, some people like to do that. It's interesting to me as well, because it's quite a specific ban that can really harm the attack, and yet W7M are starting on attack. So, you know, I hope for their sake that it doesn't hurt them a ton on their first half.
Yeah, that's always the danger, isn't it? That you can sort of fall into that situation where you end up hurting yourself a little bit more than you maybe ought to with the way that the bans pan out. But we'll see. Liquid obviously having the advantage here. Cafe can be a very difficult map to attack onto. Certainly one that we've criticised, particularly a couple of the teams that have played here previously. I think back to sort of Santos and Black Dragons and Team 1, all the teams that we saw play on Cafe in sort of play day 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 that were very sort of hesitant and slow to work together. And you think about a team's ability to work in coordination with one another, and you don't usually think much further than Team Liquid, because that's something that they really have in one of their capabilities. And W7M sometimes are that side that do get caught out in terms of, you know, struggling for that sort of cohesiveness on the attack. And Cafe is a map that really commands a lot of that.
It's actually interesting, I want to point out as well, we mentioned how the Wamai ban can be really pivotal on something like a pixel setup. Having Flores available sort of acts beyond that, right? Because you can send in drones to delete utility. There's the first kill from Nesk onto Guy. The Sexy Cake is still very strongly standing here in Piano, looking out into Cigar. The shield that was on the pixel spot has been removed too. So that makes it more precarious for those players behind him to hold on to that spot. Nesk has actually got his attentions paid over towards the white window. The corridor window.
Is this going to be one of those days, Gio, where Nesk just is a little bit
of a
problem?
What was that?
Someone that is a problem is going to be Herds. He takes himself out with the nade. Nesk. It's early. It is very early to call, but it looks like he could be having one of those days that he is very, very well known for. He's tempted to fly out the window, and could you blame him? He's going to go for the fly out. Picks up the kill onto GDM. Panico now, the last player standing for W7M. Moringa, he's going to be in position to take him down. Looking to make his way up Wyatt Stairs. No wonder Nesk was sprinting toward that door. He was thirsted after that kill. He wanted the 4K. Well, he will have to settle for a 3K, a team kill, and his teammate picking up the last.
That was just a peculiar round. There wasn't really much that happened in that round to particularly break down. You know, yeah, I mean, W7M, they were doing a decent amount of droning, trying to get an idea of what was happening in the site, where things were, taking note of the location of the Surya gates. They got rid of the shield. But it was like, as soon as Herds naded himself, Nesk saw that as his cue to just move forward. There wasn't enough of a threat on the windows of Piano for him to worry about it. he could go for the one window where he knew someone was still on rappel, knowing that there wasn't going to be a crossfire held onto him. So immediately it alerted him to the fact that he was safe to retake that space. And then because he's Nesk, of course he jumped out the window. So...
I mean, what else are you going to do at that point? You've got 2 kills. You've got to go for the 3rd.
If I were Nesk, I would have jumped out the window too.
I'm sure that he's confident in the knowledge that you would have done the same, Joe. I'm sure that's reassured him.
I'm just picking him up, man. Shout out to Nesk.
The thing is, we see this from Nesk very occasionally. Not very occasionally. We see it from him quite regularly, where he will just have one of those days where he pops off. And maybe this could be the day. He was, of course, the kill leader inside of 6 Invitational. He broke that. He broke the record. He definitely broke the record for 100 kills. And
yeah, there were a few players who did. No, I don't. Did anyone reach 200?
Nesk, honestly, Nesk wasn't far away. I think if the finals had have gone Liquid's way, there was a chance he would have got it. But he was well up there.
Yeah, Nesk is... You always know that Nesk is going to pop off if it's a day that is either Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday.
True.
That's when you know. Yeah, well, W7M, they're going to be attacking onto a different site this time anyway, so... different setup, no clash to deal with. They are bringing the Flores once again. They're actually going to be bringing a Nook as well. I always find Nook interesting, especially when you're attacking onto this site, because I want to see if Nook's going to be used upstairs, if they're doing some kind of roam clear, or if they're going to send the Nook in sort of from behind and give a lot of attention over to the front of the building. But saying that, Nesk is ready over in Garage, so I don't think anybody's going to be sent in from behind.
Palu going to be try and hold on, as nobody really on the side of Liquid is looking to aggress here. Sexy Cake and Moringa locking down the bakery. W7M being given a lot of time to work with, but not making all too much progress. Palu is in fact going to get downed out there by Herds before the swing comes in. Moringa takes a chunk of damage. Panico manages to keep himself fairly unscathed. That's a couple of nades fly, but Moringa has repositioned himself onto the shield. Ness comes in with the trade over onto Hergs, as he can now retake into the position Palu is playing. It's a very important spot inside of VIP and Christmas. You want to make sure that you've got a player occupying that space, especially if the wall into Freezer is opened. You can see onto the hat, and you're going to be able to get a nice line of sight. Not all too much vertical pressure coming in, which is assisting Liquid at the moment, because it means that they can actually still make these rotations and these movements for free. The question is for how long. The push has to come through at some point here from W7M. And so far, time really is running out. Still a yokai drone. It's going to get repositioned now to give Moringa the confidence to just worry about this bakery double door. Panico hasn't got much of an option to push on through. Drop down into Freezer incoming. Nesk should really be watching that, as GDN's allowed to push all the way on in. Panico and Mav find a frag each. All of a sudden it puts Sexy Cake and Nesk in a bit of a tough situation. Near an air jab get deployed as well, which is going to make a retake even more tricky. Nesk is the last player standing. 1 versus 4 now. The plan that has gone down. Panico, he's able to swoop on through, finding the final kill. What patience there from W7M.
Well, I mean, it's sort of the idea that I speculated about at the start. Are they going to send Panico in through... My suspicion was they would send Panico in through Garage/Freezer and then have the rest of everybody looking to come in through Bakery. But it was the other way around to that. So Panico was outside of Bakery taking a lot of the attention, and they ended up sending everybody else in through the Freezer hatch. And I do wonder if part of the reason they didn't go for really strong vertical play is because they didn't want to alert Liquid to the fact that they were doing that. One of my concerns as well about the efficacy of that kind of an attempt is the fact that there was no effort really made to clear Nesk out from VIP. And it's a problem that we've seen amongst a number of Brazilian teams, in fact, is their unwillingness to put pressure on VIP early. But the fact that Nesk was playing in there and had really no intel on the whereabouts of W7M, or the fact that they were looking to drop in through Freezer, he turned out to not be such a threat to them. And by the time that W7M were in the site, it was Team Liquid who were behaving reactionarily, and W7M could get the plant down and set themselves up to deliver the kills that they needed to win the round. So it was very similar to what I wondered was going to happen at the start, and the problems that Liquid had set up to prevent such a push turned out to be, entirely avoided by W7M.
Well, one round apiece. Team Liquid can move on and give Bakery a little bit of break instead. I'm going to go upstairs, reading and dining. W7M make their way all the way up onto the roof. There are some players on the side of Liquid that maybe look to want to try and challenge this. Cheeky C4 is always an option. Both Nesk and Moringa are going to go for it. Neither player being successful. And with that being your only two C4s, you kind of wonder if a cheap kill like that is worth the risk or not, but it does free them up. They can now just play the round however they like, and they don't have to necessarily play for that C4. But again, with those sites as well, there isn't a lot of potential.
Taking the top floor was quite difficult for W7M on the first round, so now as they look to attack onto the reading site, they are once again going to have a lot of attention paid up to the top floor. However, Team Liquid aren't really playing any kind of operator composition that's reminiscent of what they did up there. No clash, not actually as much presence, if any at all, over towards Piano. Now, Guy, I assume that's Nesk down there. So they're very aware that the risk of run out is quite high, and they are preparing themselves for it. Need to go in to remove the denial, presumably a mute jammer that was on the other side of the wall, and that means that the Selmers can start to open up the wall into Piano.
Still a big top floor hold. Try and clear out here. Nesk is going to be upstairs now on Pixel. He's got a lot to work with him as well. A couple of ADSs, a deployable shield, probably some Mozzie pests, but not ahead. Herds, he's able to take him down and look to push on through. Again, a player on Lumber. That player is going to be Sexy Cake. Sexy Cake is going to get caught out there if he isn't careful. He does manage to get himself back down safely. But no, goes for the re-challenge. What is he doing? He got himself safe and all of a sudden gets himself taken out as well. Moringa, 1 versus 3. Another situation where we see a player on the side of Team Liquid in a bit of a man disadvantage. Not a lot of time remaining here. Very doable for Moringa. He's just got to find himself a couple of kills, keep himself alive, stop the plant from going down. He looks for a bit of a retreat. He really is going to put the pressure on. Panico from inside of the laundry. Going to be able to find the final of Frag. A very close round coming down to the wire on time, but again, a man-count advantage that heavily favored W7M.
It's not even horrendous, I don't think, that Sexy Cake tried to go in for the re-challenge. It's the fact that he came running back up the white stairs with really no regard for what was at the top of it. If he'd have been more careful and, I don't know, maybe he could have taken it.
It wasn't a challenge. I think that was the thing, isn't it?
Yeah,
I don't
he
think he knew.
Yeah, he didn't. There's no way he did. Because I don't think he would have leapt over the stairs like that. If he were looking to come back up, I don't think he would have made that much noise. So, good one for W7M, and I think the fact that they could get into the top floor as easily as they did certainly worked in their favor. You know, it didn't take them long to take control of Cigar, of Piano. There wasn't much resistance there from Team Liquid. They had presence over in Cocktail and Lumber, as you saw where Sexy Cake was. But Sexy Cake dying so early meant the white stairs control could just be handed over to W7M as well. And then it was just Moringa downstairs. And Moringa, while he is an excellent support player, he is not a clutch god. So if he's left on his own, it's unlikely in that kind of scenario that he's going to be able to pull that one out for Team Liquid.
That's see if Liquid are able to get a couple of rounds under their belt here. There's a couple of players that are really struggling for a kill, and aside from big round 1 from Nesk, nobody really setting the world alight. Certainly not a lot of engagements really going in their favor. Now been able to go back upstairs, though. It's a site they were successful in previously. Good old bar and cocktail site. Now, this did rely on Ness getting a 3K. Herd's grenading himself. So it wasn't as clear-cut as you may think. And scoreline at the moment does favour W7M. If they could get another round here, it really would put the pressure on. Liquid are going to have to start playing a little bit more carefully. Ali going to be underneath, prepping himself for a potential C4. He has the assistance now to hit with the shotgun to make that happen. Neski's invested. 3 ADSs this time, still a shield. ADSs now have been burnt. The shield can come on, sorry, the nade can come on through and remove the shield. Now really isn't the time to...
It's just 1 pixel. I'm actually a big fan of the way that Team Liquid have set up their defense here. It's very reminiscent of what we would see in EU in early 2020 quite a lot, because they've got the Goyo shield present in Freezer and opened up the wall in there too. So it basically makes it very hard for attackers to take any control in Piano. Even if the shield here in Pixel is taken down, you know, you've still got someone, I believe it's Moringa, who's present in the back store who can also hold. So it's another level, or another layer, rather, that you have to deal with. Now, that nade sounded like it removed something. I'm wondering if that is the Vulcan shield next door. We can't obviously see from here. Nesk takes a bit of damage from peeking, but now he's very aware that there is another player on the other side. But it's Moringa to secure that kill. We've got less than 1 minute remaining, and W7M have still struggled to push into Piano entirely.
Palu's going to find himself a great shot there onto GDN, dropping the diffuser. He's outside. He is going for the Liquid-esque strat of getting himself in through that heaven window. Finds himself a frag. Is instantly shut down. He takes down Sextacate, but he wasn't accounting for PSK. Liquid have changed the tempo of that round entirely. W7M didn't look like they were in with a chance. That's more akin to the Liquid that we were expecting to see here tonight. And they level up 2 apiece.
You know, I respect the Aruni attempt at the end there, but the real big problem overall was the fact that W7M, if they can't take control of Piano, they really struggle, and it took them so long to even try. I don't think... Well, I mean, obviously we heard the nade, which I thought maybe brought down the Vulcan shield behind which Moringa was hiding, but we don't know that for sure. So if they did, it still took them a little while to do, which is interesting given that all of the ADSs were right next to Nesk and not actually protecting Freezer itself. I don't know, it's a nice setup. It's one that I remember Rogue doing a lot in early EUL last year, because it would always be Kajeka who was playing behind in the backstore. And I wouldn't be able to tell you what team it was that first popularized it, but I do specifically remember it being a strategy that they really liked, and Team Liquid proving that even here in the middle of 2021, it can still be very effective in holding back the attackers. Well, now they've moved downstairs back into reading, so not going to be going to kitchen for their second one like they did in the first cycle. This was an interesting defense from Team Liquid in round number 3. I don't think their presence upstairs was strong enough. They didn't have much resistance against the attack that was coming in. They gave up space quite easily, and by the time that W7M could move downstairs, there wasn't much of a defense left. You can already see the way that they've set themselves up. I mean, Palu, over on this side of the map, alongside Nesk, looking like they are wanting to battle back any of the attackers who should come a knocking at this side of the map.
I can't believe that they're going to go for these C4s again.
Yeah, why not?
Because it didn't work the first time. It's not going to work the second time.
He's backing off. He's not going to do it.
At least we did see Palu and Nesk keep hold of those C4s. I don't think that it's necessarily forced W7M into the Cali pick to get those hatches open. But you do wonder if it has had a little bit of an influence to how they wanted to approach. At least taking them a lot longer to get themselves into it. Cake is trying to get his yokai drone rested up there on the top of the reinforcement. What a nice little angle. But in doing so, he got distracted, and a Flores drone has sneaked through. Now, typically you would see a Maestro camera played on that reinforced wall or somewhere inside of the main bar area, but instead, a nice little yokai drone will do the job. First kill goes toward W7M. Herds takes down Nesk, so the C4 that did survive the early part of the round won't even be used.
The yokai drone just above Sexy Cake, but he's going to move it into a different position. Actually going to be going downstairs. Setting it up for later, most likely, or perhaps seeing if any of the attackers are going to be coming into Fireplace. Of course, that would require a push in through mining, and given that Liquid are providing more resistance upstairs, it's a perfectly viable concern for Team Liquid that W7M may be looking to go that way. So far, Sexy Cake hasn't seen proof of that. He's going to be sticking with the yokai drones just to see. There is someone down in mining. We see a lot of that presence, in fact, downstairs from the attackers. Oh, that was a nice kill. Yeah, really well read there from Sexy Cake.
I'm not sure if he had like an inkling from his drone or he got a sound call or one of his teammates gave him the heads up there, but maybe saw the drone being thrown out. Either way, a great kill over onto Palu. He's going to be able to take down Herds. If Liquid are going to be successful here tonight, he needs to get himself in and amongst the action as he is doing now. Panico, GDN, the last two standing, but PSK, he's going to make his way up Brown Stairs, an area that was being watched for a long, long period of time by W7M. He barely has to move his crosshairs to find the last two. Liquid, again, taking all of the pace out of the round and really setting it themselves, setting that tempo and forcing W7M to move very slowly.
I mean, Liquid really influenced the way the W7M were coming in because they had a much stronger presence upstairs, which was the exact opposite of what they were last time defending that site and thus giving W7M a lot of space. Basically, W7M looked at the situation and they said, all right, well, this attack's going to be much harder. Let's go the alternative route. The alternative route, of course, being in through mining to try and take a Fireplace attack as opposed to looking to take the reading attack. So with Team Liquid having the utility at their disposal that they did, like those yokai drones, they could actually spend the time to seek out that intel to confirm to themselves that that is what W7M were doing. And given that there wasn't the push onto them upstairs, Sexy Cake was pretty much unthreatened when he had the time to sit there and stay on the cams, you know? And especially once he found Mav, they had stronger presence downstairs and being able to stunt W7M in their push was really nicely played from Team Liquid.
The last round here for Liquid on the defense. This is going to dictate how the half ends. They're going to finish at an advantage, or we're going to see W7M level things up. If the last two rounds are anything to go by, I would suggest that we see a bit of an advantage here for Liquid. But previously when attacking onto this site, W7M were the patient ones. They were the team that waited until they had all the ducks in a row before pushing on in. Think of Panico and the Nook that he played on that bakery door. Now, he isn't playing the Nook this time. He's going to be on the Twitch instead. So plenty of smokes being brought from W7M. Couple of nades as well. Maybe going to look for that same freezer hatch drop.
Different operators as well. Sexy Cake playing on Bandit for the denial. I always get kind of excited when we get to see a Bandit because these days it's not super often. Parley once again whipping out the C4 but has decided against it. Watching out from White Stairs. Nesk, of course, also isn't taking the same position as he was last time. Before, Nesk was playing in Garage and VIP, but this time Liquid have decided to not actually have a strong presence there, and I suspect it's because they can react better from here. Maybe, I mean, Parlu playing downstairs, so maybe he's going to sit out here in VIP, but Nesk really didn't have the opportunity to act on the push done from W7M that easily once they dropped down in through the freezer hatch back on round number 2.
Well, with the wall being entirely reinforced now as well, it does somewhat change the goalposts. Palu going to instead be forced to play a lot more aggressively. He will be taken down by Herds. Opening engagement going in W7M's favor as PSK gets chunked down as well. He's going to be inside the train car. Can't even find the one onto GDN. I thought he had an opportunity or a chance at that one. But this roam clear is proving quite successful so far. Still, W7M has spent a lot of time in doing so. We still have players on the side of Team Liquid that are going to be watching the hatch drop. Nesk playing inside of Coat. Trying to keep himself alive and out of the drones. Sexy Kate going to be inside of the site. The C4 left in the hands of Sexy Kate. Moringa, he's got a lot to do really with just the SMG-11 to watch that hatch drop, but the Toxic Babe canisters can do something at least to chunk down the players as they do drop on through. Sexy Kate watching into prep, and Nesk, as we've mentioned, playing just outside now. Capital Firebolt comes in. That's going to be huge, but the Toxic Babe gas is doing plenty of damage as well. That's Diffuser down. Look at Moringa go here. God. Draws for the SMG, finishes off Guy, and the time does the rest.
Wow. Moringa, I thought he was going to be a martyr then. I thought he was going to enter the realm of martyrdom, but actually didn't get taken down by the Toxic Babe canister in the end, despite its lingering presence and his very low HP. It was really nicely played there from Team Liquid because, you know, throughout the course of the round, there were some very aggressive peaks that were taken that Liquid found themselves on the dead end of, which I don't think were expecting to happen. Regardless, that can go either way, so you can't linger on that. Now, W7M, they were looking to, you know, set a light, whatever, below to hold back any kind of denial of their drop in. And I think the aim there was probably to do that faster than Moringa could use his Toxic Babe canisters, which they couldn't do. Moringa used both of them before the fire actually came in. Now, at that point, he could either move away or he could move forward. And he was like, well, screw it, I'm moving forward. I'm not hanging around in the fire. I'm not going to back off. I have a shotgun in hand. I could get at least one short-range kill. I've got to try. And it worked. I mean, Nesk got the first kill of them, but Moringa finishing off the second too with the shotgun. Really, really well played from him. The decision to get aggressive rather than backing off ensured that W7M couldn't even attempt to put the diffuser down.
And you said that Moringa wasn't a clutch god, eh?
I know!
A couple of rounds ago, you call him out, and now look at him.
He's not the guy that you usually expect that from.
He isn't. He's not. If you mention everyone on the side of Team Liquid and you say, like, who's the guy that's going to clutch, Moringa wouldn't be on the tip of your tongue. But in this game, he has proved himself. 5-2, better KD than Nesk. So something to be said there. And, you know, we do joke a little bit, of course. Team Liquid, a very capable side, and any one of them capable of popping off. But they've given themselves an advantage there. A 4-2 split on the half. When things really weren't looking like they were all going to be so plain sailing. I'm sure that they're going to be fairly happy with that as a split. Now they move over onto the attack and they can start to work their magic here.
Yeah, Team Liquid on the attack. And they're quite a methodical attacking team in general. They take their time. I've always commented on the fact that Team Liquid are very good at setting up for a post plant right from the very start. You know, they're always thinking about where it is they're going to plant and how they're going to be positioned once the plant has been taken, even before they've got to the point that they're actually going through with it. They take time periodically throughout their attacks to drone, gather the information. You know, they're not the kind of team that's going to rush in and get hyper aggressive when they don't feel like they have a definitive advantage.
A lot of drone work going out there inside of Piano, as that's going to be top of Team Liquid's position and list to take. PSK kind of gets away with it there, as the player was just challenging Pixel, but can now look to try and air jab that off. Moringa going to be covering from the skylight. We could be about to see a quote-unquote fairly standard attack ensue here, but Gia's found the first blood. He's taken down Palu, and that's going to have slowed things down for a time being. Now, Moringa is going to be playing on the skylight. He is on the Capitao. So we will have 2 fire arrows and 2 smokes to be working with. He's going to be able to cut off at least line of sight. That is now going to go through and cut off the freezer. Toxic Babe canister comes through, but Sexy Cake is safe. You can confirm that plant, and he can stick W7M into a retake. Now, GDN is going to accidentally take down Mav, as the Toxic Babe gas was just a little bit too much. The kills start to fly, and GDN is left as the last player standing. Now, don't forget, Moringa is still going to be on the skylight, as we do see Sexy Cake looking to pressure and just let him know that he's there on those white stairs. PSK inside of bar as well. He's on a live ping, so he's the most vulnerable at the moment, but the crossfire was already there, already generated. Still a player on the roof. Liquid doing what they do best, sneaking a plant down and taking a round.
Yeah, not really surprised. That was quite a quintessential Liquid attack. Coming in the way that they did, as you say, sneaking the plant down, really well set up for after that. Sexy Cake had to jump downstairs because of the way that the Toxic Babe canisters were dissipating around him, and he was kind of stuck between them. It was his only way out, but because there weren't really enough members of W7M still alive, he couldn't really be stopped from pushing back up the white stairs. And in the end, even though it was PSK to get the final kill, GDN was being pressured from different angles. So I guess they're going back there, because looking at I can't read the Portuguese, but there is, oh no, of course, because this is floor 2. I was thinking second floor in the British way. Wow. I was like, what are those words? I don't recognize those. It's because they're going to the site that people don't typically go to.
The site, Gio.
Well, it's because I saw it said, usually I judge it by what floor it says it's on. And I was like, second floor, there's only one site upstairs.
Not today.
But that's the 3rd floor.
That's the 3rd floor.
In American, or I suppose this is Portuguese, so in Portuguese, I guess it's the 3rd floor. Anyway, so down on the 2nd floor, they're going to be going to mining and dining. Which, yeah, we don't get to see a ton of. Arguably, because it's easier to attack. Although this is one of those sites that has always been very different between ranked and pro play. If you're in ranked, you would rather defend this site than you would reading. In pro play, ooh, hello.
Well, goodbye.
Also that.
Hurts gets himself taken out. Like, it's a bold move at the end of the day to be looking to try and get a cheeky advantage against Liquid. And Herd's, you know, a player that W7M really rely on for kills.
Yeah, even if they're nades onto himself.
They all count.
That was mean. But it was a really nice early kill there from the side of Team Liquid. Getting a nice quick open onto the piano wall, setting up their air jab so that they can't get flanked as well. It's perfectly normal to expect a defender to maybe try and posture on the red stairs, knowing that the site is directly below where Team Liquid currently are. Now, there's a mute jammer in the way, so they can't drone out this one player who's over in the bathroom, but Team Liquid suspect very strongly that there is someone there.
Moringa going to be looking to make an entry through now as well. The diffuser has been left on the roof for the time being, but with players still on the repeller, it's not going to be the end of the world to try and recover that. As it arguably isn't required just yet. Gee! Playing a bit of a blinder. Everyone would expect him to be out on that mirror window, but instead, inside of the corner. Eventually taken down by Nest, so it's only going to be enough to find him a cheeky 1 kill. That's all it really ever was going to be. Sexy Cake is going to recover that diffuser now as well, as a lot of the work in terms of maintaining and gaining this top floor control has been done, and with the air jabs out, you can bring the diffuser down with a little bit more surety that everything is going to be okay. Now, there's a lot of pressure inside of Piano as the floor is going to get opened quite heavily there. The site, of course, being below that. Banshee dealt with by Palu as he can look to push on a bit more. I'm not sure if he knows Panico is going to be underneath there. Mav also playing at the bottom of these white stairs. Has a chance at impacting onto these players. 1C4, but a shotgun each for these defenders to try and work with. The C4 comes out from Panico. Oh no, GDN, he steals the kill. He takes Sexy Cake down instead. It's still going to give a line of sight to Panico and an idea of where that diffuser is going to be. Panico's going to use that to take down PSK. Palu picks the diffuser up. Desperate times, desperate measures. No point getting it down. He is about to get swung from many a different angle. W7M, they make the offsite work.
And especially considering how much the first half of that round was working against them, they didn't have a particularly strong defense upstairs, which meant Liquid could get a lot of work done in a rather short space of time. And some of that is down to the fact that Herds got picked off so early. Had he not been, there would have been both Guy and Herds upstairs to help defend that. But as it stands, because Herds got opposite of spawn peaked, I suppose, right at the start, it meant it was just Guy. So Team Liquid could kind of gang up on him and bring him down. Now, that gave them a lot of space, but yeah, when they finally actually moved downstairs, it was a lot less easy for them. And with those picks coming through, and you had the Toxic Babe at the end, there was just not very many options for Team Liquid. W7M, very happy to have taken them to the offsite now as they move back to something a bit more standard, and that is reading. Decided that the kitchen is simply not for them today, but sure, why not? Now, this is going to be interesting because I want to see how much of an upstairs presence they'll have, simply because they're going to be playing with a pulse downstairs. By downstairs, I mean presumably on the site itself, so that they can actually read Team Liquid's whereabouts from below. So it could be that they don't require as heavy an upstairs presence, or at least not in Cocktail itself. They might have some defense that's held a bit further forward towards Piano or Cigar. It could mean that they can share their resources elsewhere.
No spawn peaks this time. This Team Liquid are going to be given free and easy access on in. Looking to probably repeat similar to the previous round, and obviously this time with attacking onto reading, there's, I guess, a little bit easier to attack onto. I always feel like the vertical play that you can get inside of mining and dining is a lot more superior to the vertical play available, especially in reading. Reading's a pretty safe haven. You're more looking toward the above for reading than the below. And that's going to suit Team Liquid a bit more because they have to take the top floor control in the first place. That's really the mainstay and the starting point of any attack here on Cafe. And that's what they're going to be trying to achieve now.
Well, they've got Palu in. He can just take down the default camera. Where are these defenders for W7M? Oh, Nesk is already downstairs. They don't know about this? They're all down here. W7M just don't know. Where is this cardiac sensor being shone? I mean, now they'll have an idea. They can use the nade to get rid of the mute jammer so the Selmas can be open, but how have they allowed Team Liquid to move in so easily?
Liquid have managed to sneak their way on in, and while the heartbeat scanner is going to be able to ping out a lot of useful information here, Panico on his own only has one C4. He's likely going to make this one land, as he does take down Sexy Cake. You can never pick who you get, but you may as well get Sexy Cake because he's likely got the diffuser in hand. And now Panico is going to be able to watch the very same as he did previously. Nesk responds with a nade. The site being very open here for Liquid to try and take advantage of. A vertical presence that Nesk is aware of. Herds entirely unaware. What was he watching up there? He's going to get taken on out. Another kill comes in as Moringa joins the party. Palu, he's able to take down Panico as he's finally dealt with that pesky pulse from below. Able to ping out and provide so much intel. It's now all down to Gee. He's going to pick himself up one, but the plant is going to be going down here. Palu comes off briefly for a second. Somebody hit your shots! Nesk! What happened? He's got taken on out there. Gee thought he was a goner, but he played to the whistle, and he finally finished him off. Now, he is in a 1 versus 2. The plant has this time gone down, and Palu, he isn't taking any chances. Goes for a bit of a swing, finds the shots, and lands. Bit of a messy round there from Liquid, but it is an important one indeed. Put them on match point.
It is shocking that Team Liquid were able to just walk in that easily. And I think because W7M were leaning into that off-site play. So, you know, with the Pulse, they had two options, really. You either play in reading and you try and get a read as to what's going on above, or you play downstairs in this case, kitchen, and try and get a read on what's happening on the middle floor, the actual floor that the site is on. So as it so happens, the Pulse was downstairs, which is almost even more questionable because you would hope that he would have been able to point out what was going on a bit earlier than he actually did. Team Liquid being able to flood into that middle floor as quickly as they did was just very questionable for me. Regardless, W7M can head back on upstairs. This is a site as well that they lost against Team Liquid. Sexy Kate getting the plant in the default spot very soon and not falling to the pernicious gases of the Toxic Babe canisters that were sent out. And then in the end, he could jump downstairs, come back up the white stairs, land help with setting up a pinch onto GDN, who is the last remaining defender for W7M over in Cocktail. Liquid had ultimate control pretty much throughout the entire round of round number 7. Now they're back in the stomping grounds that they did that. Let's see what it is that W7M have got different to prevent.
Match point here for Liquid. I'm kind of gutted, Gio, that we've not seen the good old Liquid Amaru strat where they get themselves in and coordinate that perfect and sweet timing, but I guess it hasn't been required. We're probably and very likely going to see a very similar execute to the previous time we saw him attack this site upstairs. Just in that it works. Having a Capitale that can play from the roof and the pressure that you can provide elsewhere is very effective. Sexy Cake not going to waste any time there and already challenging the player that's going to be inside of the washroom. Liquid don't really need to overcommit just yet. There's a lot of work that they can do from outside.
Now playing below, probably preparing for some kind of C4 that he could potentially use. Herds, oh no. I think Herds messed up his arc that he was going for out of the window and then ran straight back into a nade. That is not... He's not been lucky against nades today, unfortunately. Now, I mean, Team Liquid, you just have so much more space that you can walk in on. Yeah, Mav might be able to get his C4, and it'd be great if he does, W7M, but he had support from Herds before, and now he's on his own. And with Palu looking down the red stairs, he might be able to catch out this player who's downstairs.
Ness going to hop himself on into washroom for the time being. Palu can choose to just hold here onto red stairs. Of course, there is going to be an air jab on there as well. Sexy Cake, unfortunately, can't get into his drone from there, as there will be a mute jammer, but it was all timed and all purposeful. Nesk was able to get rid of the mute jammer. PSK takes down GDN. This could be it for Liquid. Look at that shoulder cover there from Sexy Cake. Instantly trading out there onto Nesk. They've got the heads up as to where Gee is, sorry. As they're going to start to pre-fire on through. Palu to be the one to find that kill. Mav, the last player standing. The old analyst here for Liquid. and he's going to get taken care of by Moringa as he approaches up these white stairs. Sexigate was getting the plant down. A great display from Liquid. That is enough for them to take this match against Black Dragons as they win Cafe.
Really nice, clean game from Team Liquid. And it wasn't quite the chess compared to the checkers that we wanted, but it was still a great game to watch. And given that this was W7M's first time going on to Cafe Dostoyevsky, we got to have an insight into the way that they want to play. And I think we saw some interesting and quite fun strategies come out from all of these teams, or I say all of them as if there's more than two, both of these teams in this game. But ultimately, yeah, it went to Team Liquid. They just have such a clean way of playing, and yeah, it looked dominant for a lot of that game.
It really did, and it's Liquid on the attack, honestly, as well, that